Hello and welcome to the big leagues at long last. The qualifiers have finished, the Final Fun has shown us who will be auto-qualifying, and we are finally ready to begin Tour de Endurance Season 1. We come at you live. I am Angus with Event 1, Balancing. As you saw in the qualifiers, it's a very thin track and quite difficult to get multiple finishes, or just a finisher in general most of the time. It's a collective score of all four of your competitors, as our Expedition marbles are showing us now. The best cumulative score between the teams is what gets you the gold. There's our run order, and there's our look at our track. The J Jockeys, our defending champions, will run first. The track has been slightly shortened, as now you only get 120 for getting one to the finish compared to 130. And the J Jockeys, they will get one to the end, but the first three just come off pretty much instantly, just out of the gate, all out of sorts between them. And one of them does streak to the end, but only a 209 for the our defending champions. My apologies. But that shouldn't be too difficult to beat for the Condiment Kings, and I reckon they did. Sure, they didn't get one to the finish, but they also had much more consistent runs down the beam. And at 224, they do pull ahead of the J Jockeys in the early stages, but still not great scores in comparison to what we saw in the qualifiers. Can the Cosmonauts do any better? No, absolutely not. The complete opposite. In fact, they actually might do worse. They have a 194 only for the Cosmonauts. This is a concern for our auto-qualified teams. The final auto-qualifier, the Marauders, hopefully to try and do better for the audiences, and I reckon, and they do much better than the first three. They had their first marble just swerve off straight away. The others came off pretty consistently, and a 281 for the Marauders. But now we go into the teams that have some balancing experience with the Honeycombs. Third place in their qualifier group. And that's definitely going to contrast here. Look at this run. That was so much better than those unexperienced balancing teams. Come out of the gate, nice and smooth. They were bumping with each other, trying to pass each other, which slowed them down. But a 306, much better than anyone else. Now the Navy SEALs. They did struggle in balancing, but they've been in hard training, and that's proved to be successful. Look at that run. Two to the end. One of them will launch to the end of the green basin almost. And the other two get both beyond, pretty much close to 50, and a 369. That's the new best balancing score I think we've ever seen, which used to be held by the now Stingers, who have a much of a sprint. Immediately, the first marble got way ahead of the rest. A strange tactic, and it didn't even work, because that first one the first one did not even make it to the end. In fact, it was the third one that got to the finish, and a 282 just barely in third place. There's a lot to unpack during these, as the Silly Slimes hit the track next. And look at this run, that was phenomenal. Most of that, the first half, they all stayed in the middle, they were all in a line, no one was trying to pass, they just swerved off just a little bit, but a 396. That is bound to be good enough for the podium. That's currently held off by Honeycombs, Navy SEALs, and Silly Slimes in the current top three. Let's see if after the first half, will any of the second half competitors be able to knock that down. Seven Speeders, they lose two immediately, but they will get two to the end. That's something that we've seen before in the qualifiers, and it didn't. I think it got them third place, did Team Sunrise in that one instance. What will the Seven Speeders get here? They'll be in fourth. See, in the big league, the competition is tougher, but a 303, that one just barely got to the finish. We had to do a slow motion for that one. Now the Crystal Pistols. A textbook bouncing run. Nobody really got to the finish at all, but they got two pretty far down there. The other two just kind of fizzled out. They got very spread out as the track went down in 289. No finishes, but they're in fifth. Just one spot behind the Seven Speeders, who got two. The Green Peacocks. Oh, they lose one immediately. Two afterwards, and they almost got two to the finish. But they just had that just tiny little drift at the end there. Look at this. Just right at the end, that one in the back just drifted a bit too far over and hit the barriers. And that's unfortunate. They slot into fifth. The Grayscales. Oh, and that looked off as soon as they came out of the gate. It didn't look too bad out of the gate, but they just turned. They thought maybe they would curl back onto the beam and perhaps get many finishes, but they did not. They did the opposite. They just came straight off. The Party Crashers. They didn't do too great in balancing, and that is quite that definitely foreshadowed how they would do here. That was not a great performance by the Party Crashers. 265, they finish in 10th. That's the first provisional double-digit position we've seen so far. And now the Blue Brigade, this is bound to be a good run. They finished second in their qualifying group. but the expectations really didn't go too well. That was surprising. The Blue Brigade just kind of did not show up here. 263, 11th place. And unfortunately, on the Croissant Crew, they did not. They finished about average in their qualifying group. How they do here? Much better. Look at this. They get. Oh, they had a great run going. They had 4 in a line, just like the Silly Slimes, and then just kind of started to drift due to the bumps in the track. And a 3:44 though puts them into 3rd place. Spectacular. Can Team Sunrise have a go at the podium as our final runner of the day? They lose 1, 2. Oh, they lose 3, but those 3 got pretty far. 1 got to the end. That's gonna be pretty close with the Croissant Crew, who got a 3:44. Team Sunrise 3:39. 5 points off. This means that the Silly Slimes, Navy Seals, and Croissant Crew will be your top 3 for the first event of Tour Endurance. Congratulations especially to the Silly Slimes for beating the Tour Endurance balancing record. And there you see the 5 other teams they beat in the top half. And the standings being calculated is where they are. This is where it stands now. Cosmonauts, J Jockeys, and Condiment Kings. Top 3 last time, bottom 3 now. Hopefully things can change for them in event 2, the Final Endurance Classic. We'll see you then. Welcome back to Tour de Endurance, where we, expectedly so, go back to our roots with the Funnel Endurance Classic. 2 heats of 8, last one in the track wins, top 4 move on to the final. If you know how it works by now, this is literally how the first tournament came to be, and with our first group of competitors, you see some Funnel legends in there, like the J Jockeys and the Condiment Kings, who are actually struggling in the overall standings so far, so they could try and fix it up. Meanwhile, we've also got Navy Seals and Croissant Crew, who are the 2 of our podium finishers from the first event. But one of them is already really far down the course, as the other one is currently up top, leading the way with the Green Peacocks. Our Navy Seals are just falling apart down at the bottom. Party Crashers are also not doing too great. They're in that 6th funnel, I believe. Our Navy Seals are all the way down in the bottom. That's funnel number 8. Croissant Crew are still holding the lead, but they're in that intense fight. But the Green Peacocks, they have not lost out, then they do. Navy Seals have finished. Meanwhile, there's a couple in that final. I see the Stingers and the J Jockeys down there. Then the Crystal Pistols come on through and lose out. And then there's the Croissant Crew. Croissant Crew are falling apart in these final few funnels, along with the Stingers. Those 4 that I've listed are out, and the Green Peacocks, J Jockeys, Condiment Kings, and our winner, the Party Crashers, will advance to the final for a potential gold medal or a podium. There's a lot to unpack in these short 8 funnel races with 8 competitors. It's quite wild half the time. There you see where the Condiment Kings and Green Peacocks were doing pretty well, and they're still doing well at this point. There you can also see the Navy Seals falling to bits down below. Just not enough energy after that initial burst from the gate. And there's the Croissant Crew, who are just did not spin well with all the impacts from their competitors. And the Party Crashers 53-12 head on into the next round with a little bit of psychological edge over their other competitors from this group. But now we look on to Heat 2, with there you see the Silly Slimes. And of course, the Grayscales, who were... Silly Slimes won the previous event in Tour de Endurance, and the Grayscales won this event back in the Funnel Fun Expedition Tournament, so they should have plenty of experience in a field like this, and as you can see, they're currently making up multiple spots with expert spinning against their competitors. In fact, they might take the lead. Yes, they will. Meanwhile, look at that. The Silly Slimes, complete opposite for them. Other gold medalist expected to do well here. Is it? Oh my, what happened there? We're going to get a replay. That was the Honeycombs. Too much speed coming out. They just flew right out of the track. And that's going to be a did not finish in a dead last place in this event for the Honeycombs. So unfortunate too. You don't see those incidents too often over here. When they do, it is detrimental. Meanwhile, the crowd collecting themselves from that as the Silly Slimes come across and finish in last. The Blue Brigade, who have been silent, but not really there throughout this heat, will finish next. As the Marauders, Grayscales, and Team Sunrise hold up top, but Team Sunrise fall on through and are at risk of losing out entirely, and they do! Cosmonauts and Serpent Speeders are able to squeak their way from 3rd and 4th to 2nd and 1st, and the Serpent Speeders may have just gotten the 62nd time, which is definitely a commendable effort. So there you see, Grayscales actually did come on through first, but let's try and see that. I bet you the crowd just looking to see the Honeycombs again. Down there, look at the Grayscales who are up top. They're just expertly pushing their competitors on through. And then look at that, they just pop right out of the track and roll away. Hopefully Poland is okay after a fall like that. It wasn't too high off the ground in comparison to maybe Sublime last year, but it's still not great. And the 7th speeders through the Marauders are onto the final. And there you see Beeswax having trekked... No, sorry, Beeswax, not Pollen, trekking his way back to the track. And now you see, there's 9th through 16th. Beeswax is unfortunately in last, but a 50-24 is still a really strong time for Team Sunrise. Perhaps, robbed with the final, who knows? But now we move on to the final. You know who the competitors are. There you see them, and they're off. Okay, this time, looks like it's a 4-way battle up top at the moment, and it looks like the Cosmonauts hold out so far, leading the way out after that first final. Condiment Kings already down pretty far there, along with the 7 Speeders and the Jade Jockeys. Grayscales, defending Final Classic champions, currently holding in 4th, ahead of just a little bit behind those 3 other ones. But there's a big pack down there trying to stay up and make up as many spots as they can. I believe Jade Jockeys are winning out that battle so far, made up many spots from that one final alone. Now Condiment Kings are into the final while Green Peacocks hold the lead. Party Crashers, Jade Jockeys and Marauders are in there for 2nd place, and the Green Peacocks have tumbled on through, and Jade Jockeys have taken the lead. And now the Green Peacocks are into 7th place. A disappointing, terrible finish for them. And look at this, there are 4 fighting for the win. Who's it going to be? Grayscales miss out. Then the Marauders and the Party Crashers. And we should not be surprised, but the Jade Jockeys have won gold in the first final event. So much to talk about, and just that final stretch, that was wild. Let's have a look here. So, you see, the Jade Jockeys there just get bumped by the Cosmonauts and keep themselves from falling on through. If they had fallen on through there, they would probably not have won this event. Let's see the Green Peacocks here. They just come on, they drop on through, go really wide and just go straight behind the Marauders, and then just tumble through the final 2. And then, of course, the final 4 coming on through. There you see the Grayscales, the Marauders, and then just the Party Crashers, unable to make contact, and the Jade Jockeys probably absolutely terrified after that one because of how close that was, but they have won a full 25 points and have redeemed themselves from a disappointing start. Well done to them. Also, congratulations to the Party Crashers and the Marauders for getting 2nd and 3rd. They have all launched up into the top 5, while the Jade Jockeys are up into 2nd. Silly Slime still hold the lead, but that could change as we look forward to the next event, the Long Water Race. We'll see you then. We take the plunge as we reach Event 3 of the Tour de Endurance debut tournament, the Water Race. 2 heats of 8 will dive into this deep and long charge down this hill, flooded with water. The 4 fastest times advance to the final, and the best runner of the final gets the gold. Really, at least in heat number 1, you see our winner of the previous event, the Jade Jockeys, and a couple others, but oh, look at this! Team Sunrise have already gotten stuck. There are 3 white checkpoints you need to pass, with the 3rd white checkpoint counting as the finish line. Team Sunrise gets stuck before they even reach the first one. That is absolutely terrible for Team Sunrise, who weren't doing terrible in the standings, but they're going to take a hit in this event. There's a couple of bits of debris in the track, as the Navy SEALs has found out. They may have gotten caught back there, and yes, they have. There they are, completely stuck behind that leaf. But look at these 4 up front. They are charging their way. Crystal Pistols, Cosmonauts, Descent Crew, and Silly Slimes charging their way into the final by the looks of it. The final white checkpoint, which will count as the finish line, is coming up here as they becomes hard to see as the water gets deeper. There's the finish line. They all come across. Jade Jockeys and Serpent Speeders had a game of it, but it was not enough. You see where Team Sunrise just completely came to a stop. The white checkpoint just stopped them entirely. And Navy SEALs and Team Sunrise both were unable to finish that race. Jade Jockeys and Serpent Speeders had a good run, but it was not enough to get into the final. Now in this one, you can see we have a couple of competitors who have made a name for themselves so far, and a couple of competitors who have not done that. You can see Party Crashers, who are currently in 3rd overall. The Honeycombs, who just fell off the track in the final endurance event, just went straight over that first checkpoint. And look at the Grayscales, they are running away with it up top. They were running away with it, but they run into a leaf and completely come to a stop, and they've swerved right out of the track. I don't know where they've gone. They're trying to get back into the action over there, but the Marauders are currently running in last place. They need to try and make a lunge, but the Grayscales are lunged back into the action, but they push the stick to the side. Them and the Honeycombs hurt greatly there, but then they charge all between the middle, while the Blue Brigade and the Condiment Kings get stuck. Too much just happened within that little streak there. Now the Marauders have charged up in front. Green Peacocks and Party Crashers are all there as well. Here come the Stingers and the Honeycombs. The final, there's the finish line, and I have no clue who just moved on. The Grayscales, Marauders, and Party Crashers all got through in the top 3. But it was very close battle for 4th place. There you see it. There you see the Honeycombs. It was telling me it's going to be a photo finish for 4th place to see who got into the final. Between the Green Peacocks, the Stingers, and the Honeycombs. There you see where the Grayscales and the Honeycombs nudged that leaf aside, only to very quickly just spear right through the competitors, while the Blue Brigade and the Condiment Kings get stuck. And there's the finish line as they come across. That is extremely close. I'm pretty sure the Honeycombs got it. Let's slow this down, and there you see it. There's the official finish line. The Honeycombs will advance to the final by 300ths over the Stingers and the Green Peacocks. And now that there's 9th through 16th, the DNFs are ranked by where they came to a stop. And the Green Peacocks and the Honeycombs, despite losing that photo finish, still get 9th and 10th. But I doubt that's what they would have hoped for. Now onto the final. Winner of this race gets the gold medal. And the Grayscales, out of the gate again, a fantastic start. However, this time they're actually being attacked out of the gate pretty closely by the Honeycombs, who are so grateful to be in this final after just barely getting through in the heats. And they go over the leaf. Again, very risky players going over obstacles. And this time actually very briefly there, fighting with the Grayscales, but the Grayscales pull back ahead. Now the Croissant Crew there on the side, you see them coming back into the game. They had a really slow start out of the gate, but they are charging back into this. Silly Slimes are not doing that. They're struggling in the back. The championship leaders could be dethroned here, as the Croissant Crew are now attacking for a podium spot, potentially a silver medal here. But we reach the end of the track very shortly, that 3rd checkpoint, and the finish line is in sight. And the Grayscales, clear track ahead of them, will win the race and the day. The Marauders will get the silver, and the Croissant Crew, I believe, held on for 3rd there, while Honeycombs tried to dive up for potential 4th place. And yeah, there it is. There's the official results. The Croissant Crew hold on by 200ths over the Honeycombs. Silly Slimes, a whole 2 seconds off the back. They might lose their lead in the overall standings after this one, but the Grayscales, perilous throughout, despite making some very risky moves in their heat, going right off the track, they still pull away with a 3-second win over the Marauders in the final to get the gold in Event 3. Congratulations to the Grayscales. Now we have to take a look at the overall standings as the podium celebrations move on, and the Grayscales have taken the lead over the Marauders, who just got 2nd place. A 1-point lead gap between them, but we'll have to see if that gap will change at Event 4, block bumping. We return to the Tour de Endurance with Event 4, the block bumping, another one of those events that was present in the qualifiers, meaning many of the teams here have some experience with bumping these blocks. As you can see, we have an edited track to try and remove some of the bumps that were present in the qualifier event, but the expedition teams are going to show us how it's done this time around. They have 4 competitors. They got to bump the block as a team, strategizing where to place their marbles after hitting the block, and how they're going to bump it as far as they can down the path. So, I think the expedition teams here scored about a 74-ish, and as you can see, your competitor's jumping out of the lane. That's not going to penalize you this time around, but it does happen, and it's not going to help you if you pull it off. So it's not a smart move to bump so hard that you bump your teammates out of the lane. But we begin now with the Crystal Pistols, the first runner of the day. The first bump is going to be largely similar between all the contestants, but the second and third one come down in quick succession with one another, and the fourth one comes down pretty much instantly afterwards, and all those contestants pushing together is not going to help your push because you're spending too much time jostling between your teammates and not putting that energy against the block. And as you can see, a 65-45 in comparison to the qualifier runs, that is quite subpar for the Crystal Pistols. Might finish poorly in this one. Now for the Honeycombs, they finished, if I recall correctly, quite well. Maybe not in their block pushing run. I remember the Stingers and the Silly Slimes were the two outliers. This time they look they're much more equally spread out. And that last one was a great lunge. The teammates positioned themselves for their last round to go straight around them, and it was that second one just struck the block pretty much immediately. And that fourth one just right around the line of teammates that were there. And an 88-60, obliterating the score by the Crystal Pistols. And the Honeycombs go to the top for now. The Party Crashers, they've situated themselves well in their overall standings so far, and situated themselves very well in their qualifier group. They got second place. Can they? Oh, they bumped their teammate out. That just goes to show too much energy being put into the teammate and not against the block. But those final 2 bumps managed to carry the block up to around 70. These final 2 are important. Look at this. 1 and 2 just carries momentum forward, and a 73-45. Very wide. The first 3 have been very wide spreads in terms of what their scores were. This means we'll probably see a wide array of scores. The Grayscales. First one, look at these 3 taking their time. They come down pretty much toe to toe. That is not what you want to do. That fourth one would have to have been a spectacular bump, and it really was not. Only it's supposed to be about a little bit past 67, but look at those 2 that came down, just pushed the block as far as they could from their momentum, but they just could not get it very far. And the 67-15 for the Grayscales. Now the Marauders. This team does not have any experience in block bumping. They weren't in the qualifiers. They were only in the Final Fun tournament and auto qualify. That's a pretty good first bump from what I could tell. Second one is pretty good. The third one, oh, they flipped the block upside down, and a spectacular 4th one. And then I hear this now. The stewards are actually going to say that is still a valid push despite the block flipping over. So that again, he hits it, it topples and spins all over the place. As long as the block stays in the lane or doesn't go vertically, it will count in a 107.55. That block, despite flipping upside down and pretty much going all over the place, still ended up being a spectacular, or otherworldly is a better word, for as a result. The J-Jockey is another team without that experience, and it shows here. They only get up to what looks to be about a 72-ish. They could not amass to the brilliance that the Marauders could that the Marauders took, but a 71-60 is still better than 2 other teams for the moment, sitting in 4th place. Now the Navy SEALs, they had a pretty good run in block bumping as well in their qualifier group. Let's see if they can well, do better than the Marauders is not going to happen, but this is going to be, oh Jesus, oh, that was not very good in the slightest. In fact, they only got up to, that's going to be in last place. They just kept hitting their teammates and not the block, and that takes away a lot of the speed and strength that you will have when you come to hit the block. And a 62-25. Last place for now, and probably going to be a bottom score when the final results come in. Now, Team Sunrise. First bump was actually really strong. Second one just as strong. The third one comes over and tips the block over. Oh, but his teammate didn't push it very far, but flips it back to a upright position. So the push will be valid. But if it had ended like this, upright, then it would not have counted, and Team Sunrise would have either had to go again or been disqualified. And an 86-20 puts them into 3rd place, contesting for the podium. In these early stages, we're now halfway through the runs. The Blue Brigade next to run, I believe. The Honeycombs, Marauders, and Team Sunrise take the current top 3. Will Blue Brigade be able to amass to that? Oh, they bumped their teammate out. What happened? What was the strategy there? I don't know what they were trying to achieve, but if you see the second one, just stops right there on that blue bump, doesn't move, and then his teammate comes and hits him, and as a result, there goes all that energy that they had. And a 63-40, second to last, just over the Navy SEALs for now. Now the Silly Slimes, they won the first event, currently holding strong in the standings, only behind the Grayscales and the Marauders, I do believe. And the first 2 pushes, subpar for now. The third one, still not very great. And that 4th one, oh dearie me, that is an invalid push. He misses all of his teammates and just flips it up, right side up. And the Silly Slimes, they will get to go again because it wasn't too egregious of a invalid run. So let's see if they can try and improve, or maybe they expended too much energy from that first push. Looks to be better so far. The 3rd and 4th one, this time, the 4th time again. Silly Slimes, call them a 4th bump team. Their 4th bumps for both their runs, even the invalid run, was spectacular. That 4th one straight around his teammates, may have nudged off him a little bit, but an 86-50 has crept them onto the podium for now. Despite the invalid run too, well done to them. Now the Croissant Crew. It's been bronze, or it's been feast or fathom for these two so far. Feast or, yeah, for these ones so far. The Croissant Crew this time, oh, might be a famine on this time for this. Oh, only just barely above 60. The Croissant Crew have had a pattern of getting bronze or struggling intensely in the first 3 events so far, and that pattern's only going to continue here with a very subpar result. Dead last for now. 60.05, 11th place. Not what they want to be. Serpent Speeders. Not sure what I've forgotten where they are in the standings, my apologies, but they come down, they hit the first one, not too bad. Second and third come down pretty quickly, but it still functions for them. They get up to a really high, and the 4th one just strikes it spectacularly, it does not get up to anywhere near the Marauders, but a 92 will put them up into second place. The fourth one, again, it seems to be the strategy is push to one side and then make sure that that fourth one goes straight around your teammates to strike that block for a final lunge. The Stingers. First one delayed himself at the top of the ramp there. The second one, oh, that's a great, and the third, there's a lot to unpack in these heats. It's hard for me to talk, to be honest, and then 76, it's not a bad result. But that second one just hits his teammate who was right behind the block, which is going to transfer energy from the teammate to the block, which is how you want to do this if your teammate is in the middle of the track and unavoidable. Stingers getting to 6th place. Now the Cosmonauts. Again, until the second wobble really comes out, and he nudged his teammate while also nudging the block. That was an interesting tactic, but it didn't work out. Only a 62. And look at that. That Cosmonaut is right in the middle of the track, and just lets his teammate smack right into him. That is not what you want to do. And a 62-60 for the Cosmonauts. Will any of these last teams be able to have an impact on the podium of this event, the Green Peacocks? Just barely missed out on a final in the previous one, so they're going to be pushing themselves hard here. And they all come out together. That's not what you want to do. And that fourth bump took everything down. They're at 63 approximately after the third one. But that fourth one was just terrible. Hits his teammate, which then proceeded to knock his teammate out of the track. They probably went about half a centimeter from that final bump alone. And that puts them all the way down into the bottom part of the standings. Now the Condiment Kings, final runner, completely on no experience, at least I believe, with block bumping. A great first push though. Second one comes down, doesn't do much to impact the result. Third one was a great straight around his teammates, and that fourth one was very disjointed. Two of them were just lying in the middle of the road, letting the teammate hit him. That first one, beyond the blue bump, is cool. And then look at that third one, just straight around his teammates. But that fourth one could not do it. Smacks his teammates, and up to a 69 flat for 9th place overall. So that proves that the Marauders will win the gold on this one. The Serpent Speeders will get the silver, and the Honeycombs the bronze. But a dominant win for the Marauders overall. Of course, the Marauders were in second before this, so now, tally up the points, they are in first place by 18 points, dominant over the Grayscales, but can they lose it in the next one? We return to Tour de Endurance after a bit of a break, this time for Event 5, The Tower, a bracket-style 1v1 race between all 16 competitors, as per usual, where there'll be heats, quarterfinals, semifinals, and of course, finals to decide the medals. It's a pretty quick, only about 10-second races we should expect from this, but Team Sunrise and Navy Seals are the first two to hit the track and show us how it's done. And it appears, there's multiple sections, Navy Seals pull ahead at that point, the first section. Across the bumps, Navy Seals are still out in front, and across the line with that little cylinder finish barrier there is what decides the times. And Navy Seals capture the first win and will advance to the quarterfinals over Team Sunrise, who are struggling in the overall standings, so they might have needed that, but Navy Seals are also not doing too good. But now we've got Condiment Kings and the Grayscales. Grayscales, second place overall. Need to try and bring that lead down to the Marauders. It's at a massive 18 points after the previous event, but they're not going to advance here. The Condiment Kings beat them out, and they also kind of need that Mayo, trying to actually bring some results in for the team. Second place in the first Expedition Tour de Endurance tournament. They're struggling in this one. Let's see if they can change things here. Serpent Speeders and the Silly Slimes. Silly Slimes, the winner of the first event. Consistency in the others, I believe, got a medal in previous one. Maybe they didn't, I'm not entirely sure, but it's neck and neck so far. But the Serpent Speeders dash through the chicanes, and they should take the win, and they do. An easy win on that one. It was neck and neck throughout most of it, as you can see here, but the Serpent Speeders, actually no, Silly Slimes charged forward at that transition point, and then Serpent Speeders lunge through the chicanes, and they hold out to get the win. Now, the Party Crashers and the J Jockeys, defending champions, are probably not going to be defending champions based on the first 4 events. They did get a gold, but they've been slipping everywhere else, but it's very close so far. The J Jockeys and the Party Crashers, they could advance here, and the J Jockeys come across, but the Party Crashers do not. They get stuck at the beginning of the corner, and that is a big concern for them. Let's have a look at this. So J Jockeys pull ahead, but through the chicanes, Party Crashers. Oh no, we don't get to see that. Nah, that's fine. Green Teacups and the Croissant Crew. Just not enough energy by the Party Crashers. Green Teacups full ahead early on. The Croissant Crew fight right back at the, oh, it's close. It's basically neck on neck as they come to the final corner. Croissant Crew, a fantastic final corner to lunge across and advance to the quarterfinals. A 10.28 as well. That's a fantastic time. Must have been quick in multiple sections. Look at that, just charging across a stamp of authority heading into the quarterfinals as the Cosmonauts and the Stingers await us next. I think Cosmonauts have pulled out to a substantial lead so far, and they hold it. That was a big distance, but the Stingers just come to just stall out completely on those bumps. Let's have a look at that again. Coming out of the gate, Cosmonauts just getting faster and faster, picking the speed up. And look at that great transition to the through the funnel. Just keeping that lead a great time as well. The Stingers just stall out on the bumps, not enough energy to continue. Honeycombs and the Crystal Pistols. Oh, Honeycombs have a great start through the first section, but the Crystal Pistols fight right back. They charge right back to the Honeycombs through the next section, and across the line it's going to be very close. I have no idea who just won. I think it might have been the Honeycombs, based on what I saw. But timing and scoring is going to come in and tell us who got that. Let's have a look. So just across through the curves and then down at the final stretch. I think Honeycombs hit the ground first, but through the line, and it will be the Honeycombs. 2/100ths of a second over the Crystal Pistols, and the Honeycombs now on to the next round. But will they face the championship leaders, the Marauders, or the Blue Brigade? That's two very different ends of the scale here. Marauders are in first, Blue Brigade down in last, and then last by a significant portion too, so both of them want to advance here, and the Blue Brigade will. The Marauders kicked out of the first in the group stage here. They're going to get a pretty bad result in the overall results for this event, as the Blue Brigade hit the quarterfinals is what they desperately need. But now the Marauders only in 14th, 2 points to their credit. My microphone keeps falling over, but only 2 points for the Marauders. Let's see if any of these other teams can close that gap of 18 points. Condiment King is pulling ahead early on. They're holding it ahead. They're still ahead. The Condiment King should have a clear win here, but will the Navy SEALs charge forward? Yes, they will. A late charge for the Navy SEALs, just straight across the line at the end there, and a 10.43 for the Navy SEAls gets them to the semi-finals. Just saving all that energy until the end just to lunge forward and get the win. Now, Serpent Speeders and the Jade Jockeys. Oh, it's close early on. It's pretty much neck and neck throughout most of the race so far across the bumps, and at the split, I think Jade Jockeys stalled out a little bit, and Seven Speeders should have a clear win, but they don't. That was actually very close, but the Seven Speeders did still advance. 5/100ths of a second. We're not going to photo finish that. Timing and scoring could tell, just based on the original race, that the Seven Speeders will advance to the semi-finals. Croissant Crew and the Cosmonauts, Pillsbury and Cosmos. Oh, and look, it's looking good so far. Look at Pillsbury across the bumps over there, just lunging across the split, and an easy win for the Croissant Crew in that one. Let's have a look at this again. So Croissant Crew and Cosmonauts were ahead, and then Croissant Crew just flies across the bumps. Like the bumps weren't even there. Completely unrelenting against those bumps was Pillsbury. Honeycombs and the Blue Brigade. Out of the gate, Honeycombs are pulling ahead, and they stay ahead. At the next split, the Blue Brigade charge. They pull ahead again, but the Honeycombs chicane through the chicanes, pull ahead and hold it ahead. Blue Brigade unable to muster up a challenge on that one. They just fell back early on. They just could not charge back. Actually, no, they could charge back, but the Honeycombs just across the chicanes. After the chicanes, it looked like it was pretty much game over. Blue Brigade, they're only down in 8th. With the Cosmonauts up there in 5th, that's where they'll finish. Still a good points haul as we move on to those medal rounds. Navy SEALs and the Serpent Speeders for a shot at the gold medal here. Advance for the advancer, and the Serpent Speeders, pretty much a free advancement for the Navy SEAls there. The Serpent Speeders just too much energy wasted in the first 2 rounds, I'm gonna guess, and they just completely stalled out coming at the split. Oh, just could not keep that momentum going, and just a very unfortunate end to this event. Actually, they've got a 3rd place round to do. The Croissant Crew and the Honeycombs. The Croissant Crew have pulled ahead. They dashed across the bumps at first time. They won't do it that time. They actually fall back. And the Honeycombs again, untouchable through the chicanes. And the Honeycombs will get the win on this one again. And they'll advance to the finals against the Navy SEALs, while Croissant Crew go to face, Serpent Speeders in the 3rd place round. Serpent Speeders will be feeling terrible after their big mistake in the semi-finals. Let's see if they can scrounge a bronze medal out of it. The Croissant Crew are going to make it difficult. They've only won bronze medals or done poorly. It's been very inconsistent for the Croissant Crew as they come across. It's very going to be close, but the Croissant Crew do get the win. And they'll get the bronze medal in this event too. That's 3 bronze for the Croissant Crew in the first 5 events. That's good. They need to start getting results in the other events too. Also, only 1/10 between them. That was a close third place round. Just going down the bottom there, and right there, Croissant Crew just lunge around the corner. Now the Honeycombs and the Navy Seals for the gold medal. They both need it. They're both around the similar spot. Navy Seals are down in 11th after many poor finishes after their silver in the first event. Honeycombs look to get this win. I didn't really commentate on the race there, but that was a pretty clear win from start to finish. The Honeycombs through the first section were actually behind, but just lunging through the next section. And the Honeycombs will get the easy win and the easy gold in the final. Navy Seals will take a silver in this next event. 2 silvers for them now as the Honeycombs get their, I believe, their second medal of these games. The gold in this one. Let's have a look at this. On top of the podium. Honeycombs, congratulations to them, Navy Seals. A strong silver will get them back into the game after some struggles in the previous 3 events. And the Croissant Crew continue their trend of bronze or bust. And the Honeycombs have closed the gap down to 5 measly points. Wait, no. Yes, 5 points over the Marauders. Let's see if that gap will completely flip and the Honeycombs can maybe take first place in the next event with the Duo Funnel Duel. We'll see you then. Well, now we're at our roots for Tour de Endurance Season 1 with the Duo Funnel Duel. The first event that this tournament has ever seen is finally back in the main league. This time with many newcomers trying to take it for the first time, after the qualifiers of course. And the Marauders still hold a pretty solid lead over the Honeycombs, and many others giving chase back behind, but it is still anybody's game as we're not even halfway through the season yet. And here we are, seeing some of our expedition teams showing the newcomers how it's done, even though many of them should remember how it's done after some of their fantastic qualifying performances, of course. I think some of the ones I can recall was, even though I think the Citrus Sprinters were the best of everybody, but they didn't even qualify for the tournament in the end. But I remember the Stingers were the best of those that qualified here. But we've got the first heat with the Marauders and the Honeycombs, but on the complete opposite end we've got the Crystal Pistols and the Blue Brigade. We got top 2 essentially in the overall standings, and 2 that are very far down. The Blue Brigade, I'm pretty sure, are in last. Crystal Pistols are also not faring much better. But this time, Blue Brigade looking much stronger. They've got 2 higher up compared to the others, who are all the Honeycombs really struggling now. They just toppled down through very fast. A Crystal Pistol takes the lead, while another one holds out in the mid-pack brawl. While the Honeycombs continue to struggle. Down below, they have to pull off a miraculous comeback if they're going to keep themselves in this one. But the Crystal Pistols, they will not finish first. Now both Crystal Pistols have toppled on through into the final. One comes on through at about 39. It's about the time, not about where you finish. You got to hold out for as long as you can, not for hold off as many people as you can. Now you see one Marauder comes on through, and then the other Honeycombs. Both Honeycombs are done. Both the Blue Brigade are still running, and they will surpass 50 seconds, nearly 55 seconds. So both of them getting around the 55-second mark is going to be a fantastic mark to beat for the other teams behind them, especially for the Marauders, who have just, not the Marauders, my apologies, the Blue Brigade, who are just really not having a really bad time of it so far in this tournament. Let's see where their time shakes out to. It's a 112.75, which might just be the best time that Tour de Endurance has ever seen for Duo Funnel Duel. So congratulations to them, as I imagine these next contestants feeling pretty shocked seeing the mark they have to beat, but many contestants, they got the Croissant Crew, the Navy Seals, Serpent Speeders, who've been very consistent, and the Cosmonauts. Cosmonauts also struggling in the league so far. They only had a good run here. They had a good start. They had both of theirs, and I believe second and third in the second final. But the Navy Seals have fought back immediately and have taken the top 2 positions, while the Croissant Crew are floundering down below. They've already got one. It's only been 20 seconds, and they've already got one into that final. While the Navy Seals have not even finished half the course yet. Both the Croissant Crew have finished. I'd like to see a replay of that. That was absurd. Both the Croissant Crew finished in under 30 seconds, which is an embarrassing performance all around. Meanwhile, in the complete opposite of embarrassing, Serpent Speeders and Cosmonauts coming through. But look at the Navy Seals. This is absurd. Still one having a great wide arc in the penultimate funnel, while one is going to come through at about a 52, which is actually worse than the Blue Brigade's best time. But this other Navy SEAL is going to absolutely smash the Blue Brigade's best time. Going to stretch beyond a minute to about a 62-ish. That should be enough, maybe, to even surpass what the Blue Brigade did. But we'll have to wait for time to try and figure that now. The Croissant Crew, I'm going to watch them during these replays. They just absolutely fell to pieces. Just tumbling through the funnels. Could not fix themselves up on the way down. While the Navy SEALs expertly staying out of the opening. And now they go 115.75. That is astonishing. Meanwhile, the Croissant Crew are 58, which is embarrassing, as I've said. But now, got a couple others in here that have made a name for themselves. The Silly Slimes, the Grayscales, to name a few. Team Sunrise and Condiment Kings. Very average so far in this tournament, and very below average, if that's a better way to describe it. Condiment Kings and Grayscales, they both are up there with one Team Sunrise, but the Grayscales look to take a top 2 lead, but they don't. One of them is fought off by the Condiment Kings. Team Sunrise have got both theirs down there, while Grayscales have, actually no, it's a big pile up in the, I believe the 5th funnel with almost, it's very spread out. It could go very wrong very quick. They're all taking a long time to get to the bottom. No one's really embarrassed themselves. One Grayscales at the bottom or one Grayscales at the top. That's a good split. Condiment Kings. Both theirs in 2nd and 3rd. That falls apart. We've got one finisher for Team Sunrise. There's another one for the Silly Slimes. And both Silly Slimes are done. Both Team Sunrise are done. Both the Grayscales are yet to finish, and they will get top 2 in this race. But look at the times; it's not going to be anywhere near the others. 52, and a struggle at the end, and they only muster a 52 and a 53. That might not even be good enough for a top. Not good enough for a top 2 position, I don't think. But just look at this. All the different battles. There's 2 Silly Slimes, 2 Team Sunrise, 2 Condiment Kings. All the Grayscales are just spread wide apart. And despite getting the best 2 runs of that heat, Grayscales only mustered up a 105.75. And now we head into the final heat. In this team, you've got Final Duel Legends, or just Final Legends in general, the Jade Jockeys. If anybody can surpass the 115 set by the Navy SEALs, it's the Jade Jockeys. But you've also got Green Peacocks, who were Green Peacocks and the Stingers, who were 2 of the best in the qualifiers for this. And Party Crashers, they're the odd one out here. They don't really have a great Final Duel performance to show for themselves. Currently, it's quite hard to tell between the Jade Jockeys and the Stingers, but I believe there's one Jade Jockey further down and one further up. Actually, now they're both together in that 6th funnel, while the Green Peacocks hold strong up top with one contestant. Party Crashers are about to get a finisher down below, but they have a Jade Jockey join them. Fan down, let's have a look. Will the Jade Jockeys surpass? Yes! But it's actually around the 40-second mark, so for a last place time, that is by no means terrible. A Green Peacock follows next. I think we're going to get one of, yes, there's one of every team has finished. And one of every team will surpass 50 seconds. It's all going to come down to these 3. Who will fall through first? Oh, it's going to be very close. Party Crashers lose 1. And Green Peacocks lose the last one. So the Stingers get the win between those 3. And probably the winner, because they finished 1st and 5th. But the Jade Jockeys not living up to expectations there. Disappointing for their fans and probably themselves. But I'm pretty sure Navy SEALs have wrapped up the gold in this one, and maybe even the Blue Brigade wrapped up the silver, but do these wrap up into 3rd? Yes, they do. The Stingers steal 3rd place from the Grayscales right at the end, I do believe, or it might have been the Marauders, actually. And the Stingers will join the Blue Brigade and the Navy SEALs on the podium at the halfway point. Well done to them. Now let's see what this does to the overall standings. The Marauders still up top by 11 points, but the Honeycomb Navy SEALs have leapt up into 3rd place. Now that we are halfway through, we look to a very experimental event, go-karting. Thank you, good night. And Tour Endurance makes its triumphant return with Event 7, a very experimental one for this tournament, with go-karting. Each team will have 4 of their members charge down this ramp, with the intention of getting the quickest time possible. At the end of before the orange tracks is where the timer stops, and if you take one of the orange tracks, you can take away some of your penalty points, and the Croissant Crew cannot take the orange track, but they will definitely get some penalty points. But they flew down that track. That was very quick mode, just straight into this. No time to rest or prepare. Straight into the example runs, and we're just into it already. And Navy SEALs, 2.69, the mark to beat. They will lose 1, and they are unable to charge down the orange to get some of that lost time back. So a 2.73 is where they end at, and they are unable to beat the Croissant Crew, but only 0.04 back, so I feel like this is going to be a close one all the way to the end. Now the Marauders, championship leaders, 11 points ahead of the Honeycombs, and they've lost 2, but they get to the end of the orange track. Now, something about the orange track didn't help them all too much, but also, if you take the middle orange track, you will lose more penalty time. So you want to try and get the middle rather than the sides. But the sides will still definitely help you out. And it seems like that very first bump, and the 7 speeders take the same line the Marauders do, but also they lost 2 instead of 1. That was a very similar run to the Marauders. They were just quicker down the ramp. And yeah, it's a very, very, very short track indeed. This event's going to go pretty quickly. The Grayscales. Well, and they lose 1 on that first bump again, and this time they just barely are unable to take the middle route. And they are currently in 4th place at 2.83. Look at that first one. You got to stay far away from the vehicle because if you get hit, it's not going to end well. Now the Jade Jockeys. Oh, that's very slow. But they all stay on until the very end, and then a wipeout at the bottom. The timer still stops when they cross that finish line. But of course, they didn't take any orange routes, and it was just a really slow run down the ramp for a 3.02 overall. That's the worst time of the day so far. The Silly Slimes. They all stay on well, but until, they had 2 come out at the bottom down there. And then they also missed the orange beams entirely. Look at that, they all stay on very well, and just 2 flip out right at the bottom for a 3.02 time. Now, the Party Crashers. They've been consistent throughout, but they're slipping lately. They lose 2, but they take the middle route. That middle route is big, and it's very quick down the ramp. Where will it add up to? And they've got the lead. That was very fast down the ramp. 2.58 is well ahead of what anybody's done so far by 0.011. Croissant Crew still holding in 2nd though, and we're halfway through as we move on to run 9 with the Honeycombs, the only team that could maybe attack the Marauders. And they lose no one. Oh, but they missed the orange ramps, but they did not lose a single competitor. No penalty points for a 2.6 time, which is only 100th behind the Party Crashers, I do believe, which is insane. If they had just taken one of the orange tracks, they would have been in front. The Blue Brigade, that was a pretty solid textbook run there. They didn't finish the orange route, but they were just too slow down the ramp. Only for a 2.86. You see, losing 1 on that first ramp, which is what many competitors have done, is just, it's really the deal breaker. Green Peacocks, risky business! The Green Peacocks were incredibly close to just coming off the side there. Oh, look at that! The second one flies right off. It doesn't even land on the track, and a 2.93, but they just lucky to finish that race, because you don't get a second go here. If you have your entire cart come off before hitting the line, you will, you won't finish, and you'll get a DNF in your name. Cosmonauts, 3.13. No one's really had any, in these most recent ones, no one's really had any looks at the front of the pack, but with only 4 runs to go, Condiment King's next. And again, losing 1 of that first ramp, and the last one. It's like a couple hurdles. First hurdle and last hurdle. And that first one is just a deal breaker for pretty much every team that's gone. 3.3. No, not very good, and a 0.7 penalty, that is massive. Now, the Stingers. Alright, they lost 1, but they don't lose the second one, and again, very close to the edge. We saw the Green Peacocks do that as well. Let's have a look at this again. So they lose 1, they just, very close. Not quite as close as the Green Peacocks, and they're able to land on the orange beam. But cannot go all the way across it. Team Sunrise. Final 2, penultimate runner, they lose 1, 2, they lost 2 very quickly, but taking that orange path at the very end, that is very sneaky, and that's going to get them back in the game. It was 2.26, quick run, and the going down the path really saved their skin there. Now the final runner, the Crystal Pistols, what can they do? They've lost 1, 2, and they completely wipe out at the bottom, and that run wasn't super quick. Let's see what that... No, that's not very good. They're going to get like a 0.85. Oh, 0.85 penalty. They finished in last place. Last runner and dead last overall. Not what you want to see, but the Party Crashers will win the day. Croissant Crew, the first runner, holds on to a 3rd, and the Honeycombs, big 2nd place for them. The Honeycombs, with that silver, have taken the lead over the Marauders by 1 point. They sneak on past and have got the lead for now, but the next event, the Downhill Drag, is sure to continue this fight. We'll see you then. After the Honeycombs have recently taken the lead from the Marauders, we are back with Tour Endurance with the all-popular qualifier event, the Downhill Drag. 4 heats of 4 will lurch down that wooden ramp there and charge down this long drag stretch, and the top 2 of each race move on to the next round, as this example one's going to show us here with some of our expedition teams. It's just a long charge down this long stretch, and then the first 2 to cross the line move on to the finals, or semi-finals, and then after that we move on. You should know how it works by now. Of course, whoever wins that big final at the end will get the gold medal. And let's get the action underway. So we have the Cosmonauts, the Serpent Speeders, the Honeycombs, and Team Sunrise. And straight out of the gate, the Serpent Speeders take the lead, but look at that, the Honeycombs fly up with a little bit of extra speed, pull through at the second half of the track, and just lurch ahead of the Serpent Speeders to move on, but both of them will still advance. The Honeycombs looking to extend their lead over the Marauders, who are probably quite... Oh, here they are now in lane number 3 there with the Grayscales, Stingers, and Croissant Crew. And the Stingers already long gone, while the Marauders take a commanding lead over the other 2, but who got second? I don't know what happened to the Stingers there, they just absolutely fell to pieces out of the gate. Meanwhile, this battle for second, just like in the qualifiers, Grayscales and Croissant Crew are back to back again, and oh, that is really close. We have to have a photo finish, and let's see... And that's the Grayscales by the tiniest bit over the Croissant Crew. And the Grayscales, they won the qualifier event in their group, so it shouldn't be too surprised they are advancing here now. Blue Brigade, Silly Slimes, who lurch out in front. But look at this, the Condiment Kings in the final little stretch of the track pull back and win the race. How did they pull that off? The Silly Slimes were so far ahead after a bump off the Crystal Pistols just lurched them out of the race. Then the Condiment Kings just pulled through right at the end. There's a little bit of extra energy. Now, Navy Seals, Green Peacocks, the J Jockeys, and the Party Crashers. It's very close up top, but the Green Peacocks and Navy Seals will fend off the defending champions. And they will move on to the semi-finals. Look at that, it's a 3-way race where Party Crashers swerve off to the side and we're just out of it all the way through. While Green Peacocks just consistent, got away to avoid any drafts, and they're on to the next round. So, there you see the Stingers, a whole nearly 2 seconds behind 15th. Not entirely sure what happened there. They're on to semi-final A with the championship leader Honeycombs, but currently they're not going to move on. The Condiment Kings and the Grayscales will lurch their way to the next round, I think. Honeycombs made it a game at the end, but did they get the Condiment Kings? Looking at this replay footage, oh no, I don't think they did. I'm pretty sure they were just a little bit back, yet by 100th. They just slipped off behind the Condiment Kings. Semi-final B with the Honeycombs out. Can the Marauders capitalize? They're in there so far, but the Serpent Speeders pull through instead, and the Marauders will not be able to capitalize upon this golden opportunity to pass the Honeycombs. Instead, it will be the Serpent Speeders and the Green Peacocks to advance. Oh, look at that. Very close for 3rd and 4th there, but the Marauders do get 3rd. And now just this build-up as we look at this terrifying ramp for the final. The Condiment Kings, the Green Peacocks, the Grayscales, and the Serpent Speeders. Condiment Kings are pulled ahead. Grayscales are charging at the back. Green Peacocks are in the draft, but they could not get to the end. They'll take a third place. But I have no idea who got first. Just all the way to the end, it was Condiment Kings and Grayscales. Let's see. How close was it? I have not a clue. No idea. This is up to the stewards. Let's see. Oh no, we're not going to stop yet. We're just getting another replay. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. I think the Condiment Kings get it. And they do! By 1,000th of a second, the Condiment Kings with Mayo get the gold over the Grayscales. Just barely. That is the closest finish I think we'll ever see in Tour de Endurance. And there you see, atop the podium, triumphant as ever, the Condiment Kings. Oh, the Grayscales and the Green Peacocks. So that might have been one of their first medals in a long time, the Green Peacocks. Very triumphant podiums for all the teams today. But the Honeycombs have extended their lead by 1 point. But on to the biathlon next. We'll see you then. And Tour de Endurance returns in 2022 to give you the final 4 events, starting with Event 9, the biathlon. Previously a triathlon, but now whittled down to a biathlon due to lack of space in the stadium for 3 separate sections. The Honeycombs hold the lead by 2 points over the Marauders, with teams like the Grayscales and Serpent Speeders still behind them, still have with a chance with 4 events to go, but they'll need to pick it up quite a bit in these final 4 events. With this practice run, you see the first section, a track section, more or less just trying to get a lead and keep up with your competitors, not overtakes will be possible in these opening corners right here. But it's all about, a lot of it relies on this water section at the end where the competitors will pack up. As you can see here, Condiment Kings take the lead, but the Crystal Pistols getting pushes behind from the Croissant Crew, but they slip to last place right toward the very end of the track. And that is just what happens. You've got to keep your energy up, or else in the water section you will fall apart. The Condiment Kings and the Croissant Crew right here, that little bump sends the Croissant Crew back. But a better dive gets them right back neck and neck with the Condiment Kings. The Silly Slimes also snuck in there at the end, just around the Croissant Crew and Crystal Pistols to take second and advance to the next round. And here you see the Honeycombs, the championship leaders, who immediately dive into the lead from the back and have a pretty strong lead coming into the water, but a bad dive gets the Party Crashers up into first. But then they slip straight back to third. Seven Speeders and J Jockeys get up there, but a little bump, I think, from the Honeycombs push the J Jockeys back. They're on a bit of a charge, so that instead we'll put the Honeycombs and the Seven Speeders into the next round, hoping to extend their lead out of Honeycombs, I reckon, after only just barely being up there for the last two events. And look at that right there, that little bump just pushes the J Jockeys back ever so slightly, giving the Seven Speeders a spot in the next round. Now, the Grayscales. Probably the favourite in this event based on the first two rounds, as the water, the Grayscales have proved to be very good at it, and here they come now. They split between everybody, take the lead, and who's going to join them? The Navy Seals slip to the side and lose all their spots, despite being in the lead entering the water. Cosmonauts will take the next spot in the round instead. Team Sunrise, they looked really solid through this. They're drafting the Cosmonauts here, but in the water they just get bumped. They had a much better dive, but they couldn't get around the Cosmonauts, who blocked them instead. There you see the Cosmonauts just pushing and getting bumped forward by Team Sunrise, getting them into second place and missing out for Navy Seals. Now here you see the Marauders trying to potentially regain their lead after the Honeycombs took it over in Event 7 with the silver and the go-karting, but the Stingers launched to the lead, but the Marauders and the Blue Brigade have better dives, get right up on next to them. Green Peacock's trying to get in there now, but oh, look at this, the Marauders and the Stingers neck and neck across the line. I have no clue who won, but both of them will advance. You see, look at this, the Marauders are right behind them, and then they just get bumped, which also bumps the Blue Brigade. Stingers fly ahead. As they plunge in, they all become just a three-way race, but the Blue Brigade fizzle out, no energy at the end. And right here, there it is, the Marauders will just get by 0.03 of a second, giving them a little bit of a edge over the Stingers heading into the next round. Speaking of the next round, we're right into it. No time to rest for the Riri, as the Condiment Kings take the lead early on, with the Grayscales right behind. Seven Speeders and the Stingers are there as well, but the Stingers have fallen really far back and didn't get a good enough of a dive to get up there, and this time the Grayscales will, and the Seven Speeders push on by to sneak into second place. The Grayscales had it pretty clearly done there. They were in second heading into the water. They just pushed past the Condiment Kings, while the Serpent Speeders just kept their energy up. They slowed down early on. They knew what the most important part of the track was and just pushed through over there. Look at this, right, this bumping, and the Stingers tried to get squeezed between them, but there was not enough space. Now, both the Honeycombs and the Marauders are in this one, neck and neck in the starting gate. Imagine how that feels. Honeycombs take the lead, the Marauders right behind though, pushing and shoving, and they dive past the water. That was very quick, and the Silly Slimes push on past as well. This is going to be an easy advancement for these two. Silly Slimes pushing across the line, and just like that, the Honeycombs are in a bit of trouble, as the Marauders have a big chance of getting a medal here and reassuming P1. Look at the Marauders, they flew, they went so quick down that track section at the end, and then they're just sneaking right past the Honeycombs and on the water dive. And you see here Silly Slimes just trying to get around for that metaphor, for that little edge, but nope, they just couldn't do it. Now straight on to the final. Again, no time to rest for the Riri. This is the big one. This is for medals. Silly Slimes lowest in this one. They would want to get the gold, and they currently have the lead. Seven Speeders that were right behind them into the water. They bump each other, are sent flying to the sides, giving the Marauders and Grayscales the top two. Here come the Silly Slimes right beside him, pushing across, and the Grayscales fizzle out right at the end. They will not win this water event, and the Marauders and Silly Slimes will go down to a photo finish, I do believe. That was a crazy final to follow. I'm just so exasperated. Look at it, a bump, sending both of them flying to the sides. The Marauders and Grayscales split between them rather easily. Grayscales push aside, think they've got the win wrapped up, but bumps from behind by everyone puts the Marauders and Silly Slimes ahead. That is so incredibly close. We're going to have a look at this. I'm pretty sure the Marauders got the win though, waiting for timing and soaring, and they did! By 200ths, the Marauders just barely over the Silly Slimes capture gold and will get a rather massive lead in the standings, I reckon, after a win like that. And there's our cleanup crew coming in to have a look around the track, potentially looking for safety hazards. A bit too late there though, but the podium celebrations are abound, and the Marauders ecstatic after that win. Grayscales will be bummed to miss out on the win after so clearly looking like the favourite. And the Marauders 14-point lead, pretty large. It could easily be taken down though in the next event, the distance drag. We'll see you then. As the final 3 events of Tour Endurance begin, the final battle heading into the final 3 events begins to take shape between the Marauders, the Honeycombs, and the Greyscales. The first of the final 3 is the distance drag. You can see all 4 heats there lined up. It is 4 heats of 4, and they all line up, and these opening 2 finals, this demonstration here between these teams to show us how it's done. As you can, it's 1 by 1 in this one instead of all at the same time. You gotta strategize if you want to go early and try and get that launch to avoid bumping from behind, or you can go late and prepare your attack on the bumpy ground below. All kinds of strategy in this one as we begin with the Navy SEALs, the Cosmonauts, Team Sunrise, and the Crystal Pistols, who are already trying to get through to the run, but the Cosmonauts beat them to it and launch out to the front, which looked like a pretty good launch as well. Now, Crystal Pistols and Team Sunrise both follow. Team Sunrise actually passed Crystal Pistols on the launch, and that will get them through to the next round as Navy SEALs are unable to pass either of them through the as the final launch. Just right there, only just behind the Team Sunrise. Look at that, very close between them. Only 0.5 of a centimeter, in fact. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of close battles, depending on how well people do. Condiment Kings, first ones to drop on through. Party Crashers, Honeycomb. Condiment Kings will drop on straight through and will be the first ones to take their launch. Now people have to go around them. Party Crashers don't even reach them on their launch. The Green Peacocks shoot right by and will advance, and the Honeycombs, second place team, will join them. This is important. They are 14 points at the moment behind the Marauders, who are yet to run in this event. So if they manage to miss out, the Honeycombs are going to gain some much needed ground on that black team. Look at that, between Honeycombs and Condiment Kings, also very close. Green Peacocks, everyone in the 106 and 103s in there, but very high scores, at least in comparison to the last heat. Now we have this. Now here's the Marauders, and the Serpent Speeders, and the Silly Slimes. Silly Slimes and Serpent Speeders are a little bit lower down in the standings. I'm not sure. Serpent Speeders have a terrible run. Marauders and Croissant Crew do much better, and the Marauders will indeed miss out on the next round. Silly Slimes coming in from the back, and they will sneak their way in, pushing the Marauders out. The Croissant Crew had a fantastic launch. Look at that, just straight on past. And a 1:10.75, the best score we've seen so far today. And the Serpent Speeders only get an 88 approximately. That is just embarrassing, especially since they're in 4th place overall at the moment. Final heat, Greyscales, another team that that needs to get something done to catch up to those Marauders. Jade Jockeys, that was the Stingers to come on through first. It seemed to be a pretty good launch. Jade Jockeys come on down. The Greyscales blow on past both of them, and a big bump almost pushes the Jade Jockeys into the next round, but the bump was not big enough. So that again, like the Greyscales is pushed right past the Brigade. Hit the Jade Jockeys real hard, but the roughness of the road below them stops them from getting any further in momentum, and the Stingers will go on to join the Greyscales instead. The Marauders, though, still had a fantastic score, and because of that, still get 9th. So, if Honeycombs miss out on this, then they won't be gaining all too much. Cosmonauts are already through both funnels and out onto the plane, you could call it. Who's going to come down next will be the Green Peacocks, who basically equal them. Team Sunrise come on through, they miss out, they probably won't move up. Oh my, whoa! A 3-way tie, what looks like. It's going to be a 3-way photo finish. Let's see what happened again. Team Sunrise bumps against the Green Peacocks, and then the Honeycombs bump against Team Sunrise. In one of the closest finishes Tour Endurance has seen yet. Look at this again. Oh, Team Sunrise. Very lucky. If they get through, it's all thanks to the Honeycombs. And they do! By 0.15, the Green Peacocks are unluckily bumped out solely because the Honeycombs bumped Team Sunrise into the next round. Team Sunrise will thank their lucky stars for that one. But I think I need to shake myself off if we win the semi-final B. Greyscales and Stingers go down. Croissant Crew blow on bypass both of them in the Silly Slimes. The anchor of this one, they're going to charge on down, just launch, let's see what they can do. They just bump the Greyscales in the next round. They were going pretty quick. Had they just gone around the Greyscales, they would have easily advanced there. Maybe have even beaten the Croissant Crew. You see there, the Stingers actually ahead, so this bump here also saved the Greyscales to advance to the next round. And both the Honeycombs and the Marauders are out. Grayscales would like a very large sum of points here, particularly in the first or second place range. There's your final, the Team Sunrise, who are very lucky to be here, Croissant Crew and Cosmonauts, and the Grayscales. The same thing can be said about them. And they're the first ones to launch on down, but Cosmonauts and Croissant Crew quickly join them. Grayscales and Croissant Crew. Oh, Croissant Crew fly on by. They're in the lead for now. Team Sunrise joined them, and they surpassed them. And Team Sunrise, who many people probably think shouldn't be in this finale, have snuck by and taken the gold medal from the Croissant Crew. The Grayscales will have to deal with the bronze. They'll gain at least some points on those two leading teams. Look at that bump at the very end. Unfortunate for the Cosmonauts, just couldn't get around the Grayscales. And a 106.40 is the final score for Team Sunrise. Just look at that. Their overall, Team Sunrise were many close calls in both the heats and semi-finals for them, but they were still able to win where it mattered and win the gold in this one. Well done to them. So the Marauders don't gain much. They are now 7 points ahead as the new second place Grayscales make their entrance as we prepare for the most dastardly event yet, a very physical collision. We'll see you then. We are now in the final two events for Tour de Endurance with 10 teams still eligible to win it. However, logically, the Marauders, Grayscales, and Honeycombs are in the best positions. Top 3, 13 points between them, and a whole 20 ahead of the 4th place, Silly Slimes, who, them, Navy Seals, Seven Speeders, and others are offshoot teams to win this tournament still. This event, Collision. You can see Seven Speeders and Green Peacocks giving us the first run, the demonstration, you could say. And the Seven Speeders will win it pretty definitively, 2-0. For however many marbles you keep on the board is the amount of points you get, and of course whoever knocks off the most of the opposing team will advance. So they see Seven Speeders move on 2-0 pretty easily. Green Peacocks get completely blanked as we move on to Team Sunrise and the Party Crashers. Party Crashers have bizzled out throughout this tournament as it went along, and now might not even be eligible to win with this loss, as Team Sunrise, the miracle winner from the previous event, moves on. You can see there are bricks on the collision board to stop them from flying off everywhere, but it didn't help that one Party Crasher. He just fell off anyway. Just couldn't stop his momentum from that brick. Navy Seals and the J Jockeys. Oh, J Jockeys get sent packing, those two of them toward the side, but they keep 2 on, and the Navy Seals have one hanging on by a thread over there in the corner. Just look at this. He is set flying. His teammate falls off right next to him, and he just hangs on right there. Look at that. Just barely stays behind the brick, and 2 all will go to a tiebreaker round between them. See how this goes? Oh, they all miss each other, and the J Jockeys with a self-inflicted wound just completely drove off the track. I think it might have been a collision between the two. And yeah, it was, sent the one in the back off the track, and the Navy Seals did not do that. They stayed on, and a 2-1 win for them. This strategy. They went to the side to avoid the contact, and that's how that goes. Condiment Kings went down in a line almost, and that worked practically perfectly for them. Look at that, nearly a perfect win. Croissant Crew get completely blanked off, and the Condiment Kings keep 3 on the board. They just kept going forwards after the hit. The Croissant Crew was sent flying in all sorts of directions, while Condiment Kings were able to use the bricks and the ramps on the other sides to stay on. Now, very important, the Marauders and the Crystal Pistols. The Marauders have sent 3 off to that one side. The Crystal Pistols still have 3 on, and the Crystal Pistols will knock off the #1 Marauders. That is quite the shock. The Marauders have been a dominant force throughout the entirety of this tournament, and in the events where you're purposely put against those lower down, the Crystal Pistols take advantage and take out the Marauders. This is very important for a team like the Honeycombs over there, who are 17 points behind. And they won't even take advantage of it. They have one fullback as an anchor that could have really worked to bump off another Cosmonaut, but he just misses. Look at this. Just splits right between 2 of them. I think it sent that one a bit close, but he also knocked himself off, so that would have been a 1-on-1 tiebreaker. So that would have been a big gamble, but even then, Cosmonauts still win. And here's another team that could take advantage. The Silly Slimes, they're a bit far off though, so they'll need to do better than just this round. And they won't even win this round. Stingers, 2-1 on that one. Let's have a look at this again. Oh, both of them very bunched up, but just stronger impacts on the Stingers end. And I think the Stingers bumped off that brick there to keep them on and started rolling back toward the ramp. That's ultimately what you want to do. You want to bump off the team, or go straight past them if you will. The Blue Brigade and the Grayscales. Grayscales, of course, need this win, and as the pattern continues, they don't get it. The lower teams really coming out of their shells this time and showing us that they can compete, especially against teams that are this historically dominant. The Grayscales, they didn't lose to the Blue Brigade as much as the Marauders did to the Crystal Pistols, so they will gain some points on them, but not enough. The Marauders will likely still be in first place after this event, and there you see 9th through 16th. Marauders are in 14th. The Grayscales only gain 2 points. Honeycombs will gain 3 as they move on to the quarterfinals. Serpent Speeders now with offshoot chance, very high chance, if they can do well here. And they will, 3-1, another dominant win by 2 whole marbles. Let's have a look at this. So it seemed like they largely missed. Well, kind of. It seemed Team Sunrise, they sent Team Sunrise off on an angle, and then just another subtle knock-off at the end there made it 3-1. Now, Navy Seals and the Condiment Kings. Navy Seals had to go to a tiebreaker, and this one they will absolutely not be going to a tiebreaker. They seem to delay themselves coming down the ramp. Let's have a look. They come down in like basically a line almost, sending the Condiment King. That's what the Condiment Kings did against the Croissant Crew. Navy Seals tried to fight right back with their own strategy, and the Condiment Kings didn't use that same strategy. They tried to opt for something different. Now you can't see them, but Crystal Pistols are over there against the Cosmonauts. Oh, that was so... If you're watching over on the left there, you can see how the Crystal Pistols had one on the board, but it just trickles right off. And on the left as well, up top, you can see the Cosmonauts have one. Look at this, just down here. He stops, he's putting on the brakes, oh so desperately, but he just slips off, and the Cosmonauts up there as well also just barely stay on. If they both had stuck them on, then it would have been a tie. Or if the Cosmonauts just come off, I'm talking too much for how quickly these rounds are going. The Blue Brigade and the Stingers... Oh, wait, that Blue Brigade slip-up caused it to go to a tiebreaker. I thought the Blue Brigade had it in the bag there. Let's have a look at this. So the Blue Brigade are bunched up. Stingers are a bit more separated. The Blue Brigade bump off that, go straight off. That was the first one to come off. And the Blue Brigade is trying to slow... He's trying to slow down so badly, trying to push himself back, but he just cannot. 2-2. Let's see who wins out of this. And the 2-on-2 one again, just like we saw in the heats. This time, they will make contact. And the board is completely blanked, -1 marble, and the Blue Brigade will move on to the semi-finals. Stingers went down pretty much in a horizontal line, my apologies, which didn't work as the Blue Brigade went down in a vertical line. So they win, moving on to the semi-finals. The Navy Seals and Serpent Speeders, this is a battle. These two are still in contention to win. They can gain so much ground on the leaders if they just get a top medal here. Who's going to be the one to move on to the final? It will be the Navy Seals, easily, 2-0. Serpent Speeders have been dominant in the first 2 rounds, but in this one, Navy Seals, again with that line strategy, they just kick out the Serpent Speeders very easily with a 2-0 win. Navy Seals putting a statement on this round as they head into the final. Who will join them? Will it be the Cosmonauts or the Blue Brigade? Both pretty irrelevant, Blue Brigade more so. Oh, it's going to be close, but I believe the Cosmonauts, yes, 2-1. The Cosmonauts will move on out of this one. Let's see Cosmonauts just like a 2-1-1 almost. That's just slightly. There isn't really much. They just kind of blasted it and hoped for the best, and it seemed to work out for them. 2-1. Cosmonauts onto the final. The Serpent Speeders and the Blue Brigade are in the final. Are in 3rd place round. Sorry, we're going to watch that first. Serpent Speeders can still hope for a medal to close up on those leading teams, and oh no, they won't. They'll get 3-0 in the 3rd place round. They must have exerted too much energy and force in the first 2 rounds, and they just fizzled out. But this one, look at the Blue Brigade. 2 of them completely coming to a stop. The 3rd one using that brick. 2 Serpent Speeders just dive off on the side there. That didn't help them. And the Blue Brigade will capture the bronze in this one. Now the build-up. Navy Seals would want this gold desperately if they want to go for this, if they want to have a fight for the championship. But the Cosmonauts want to get a medal in general. They have not gotten one yet. They're going for a gold. They shoot in. Oh, that Navy Seal is going to lose out as well, so it's going to be a 1-1 tie. The 2 Navy Seals over there on the left that just slipped off at the end. There's also one up top that just, look, he halts right there immediately. Doesn't move an inch. If he did, Cosmonauts would have wrapped up the gold already. But look over there, that Navy Seal just... Gold may have just slipped through his fingers there, as it's now a 1-1 tie. A 1-1 draw, but just basically a quick draw at this point. Let's see. Oh, they chip each other and just roll right off the board. We are completely blank, meaning every single member will reset, and it's now going to be 4-4 a second time. Look at that, just straight off. 0-0. These 2 teams trying to hold this out as long as they can. The energy they must be exhausted by now. Here we go. Hopefully the final. The Cosmonauts come down in a line, and that is what works for them. The Cosmonauts, 3-1, despite the 2 tiebreakers, still pushed out a dominant win against the Navy Seals, who will take a second, but they'll definitely take a second begrudgingly, considering how close they are to that championship now, after the struggles of the Marauders and the Grayscales. But look at that, Cosmonauts, first medal of the tournament, and maybe the last one considering their irrelevancy, but still, first place, big 25 points for them. Congratulations to the Cosmonauts for their first gold ever. Now taking a look at the overall standings, the Marauders, only with 2 points there, are now, there are still 4 teams in contention, but Navy Seals only 16 off, so 16 points between them. It could all be done in the final event, the final elimination race. We will see you then. And so it all comes down to this. The epic showdown, the final battle, the moment of truth, event 12, the final elimination race. Just like in the expedition tournament a long time ago, if you finish last, you are eliminated and will finish bottom half. But if you finish in first, you move on to the final for the medals. There are 4 teams: the Marauders, the Grayscales, the Honeycombs, and the Navy Seals, who are still in contention for this tournament. 2 of them are sitting at the front of this first heat. This will be a long and grueling event for the finale. I suspect the one who wins will be exhausted beyond belief by the end of it. As you can see, already the Stingers not off to a great start. The Marauders and the Navy Seals are 2 teams that need to just stay alive in these heats. Are doing alright, you just don't want to finish last. Navy Seals do join them in the back part of the pack, but they push themselves back up immediately. The Marauders in that funnel with 4 others, and they're all just piling through. The Marauders are getting bumped on through by the Crystal Pistols, and the Crystal Pistols are right there as well, and they push them through again. The Crystal Pistols single-handedly, for the second time, have knocked out the leaders. The Navy Seals will come through and stay in the game, but they will not advance to the final. The Serpent Speed is a full final ahead of the rest, looking pretty good to advance to the final in this one, and they will pretty easily. They'll advance, and the Croissant Crew will, Croissant Crew and many others, of course, who got second there, will be in the next round. There'll be 4 rounds per heat, but the Marauders missing out. That is really critical. If teams like the Grayscales just advance out of their heat, they're going to pass the Marauders, as the gap is only 5 points at this point in the tournament. In the second round, Navy Seals start up front. You can see up top there, the Crystal Pistols. I imagine a lot of the Marauders fans are quite upset, as in this event and the last one, the Crystal Pistols have single-handedly ruined the Marauders' chances at winning. The Marauders can still win, of course, but their chances now seem much more slim after that shocking dip out. Appears the Blue Brigade are holding the lead in this one. Crystal Pistols now in last place. The Croissant Crew join them. Jade Jockeys, the Blue Brigade, many others. It's all about winning though, or getting last. Croissant Crew in trouble. Crystal Pistols will push their way on through. And they've been in the final a few times, but they finessed their way over the final and pushed the Croissant Crew through. Now it's about who's going to get first. Navy Seals need to advance if they want a chance to pass the Marauders, sorry. They could still do it if Jade Jockey's fallen through before them, and they do. But the Navy Seals have fallen through right after, so we can move on to the final yet. They're just barely in it. And the Stingers will take the second spot in the final after the Serpent Speeders. Beyond a minute too, that's a pretty good time. Look at this at the end here. Croissant Crew and Crystal Pistols just toe-to-toe as the Crystal Pistols push them through. They've been hanging on by a thread in the first 2 rounds already. Ooh, slow entrances there for a few, which pushes the Blue Brigade through. First, Navy Seals join them as the Jade Jockeys, as many are aware, are the final masters, take the lead for now. When it gets to 4, the times are going to get longer and longer, and as a result, you're going to get more exhausted because there's a lot less impact, which pushes you through a lot less, or you spend more time in the funnels. The Blue Brigade and the Jade Jockeys, it's a bit of a 2-2 split right now, with the Crystal Pistols and Navy Seals, who will be pushed on through instead of the Crystal Pistols. Navy Seals need to advance. The Blue Brigade will fall on through before them. Navy Seals trying to hold out as long as they can to get bumped, and they will not. Instead, they will bump the Blue Brigade and fall into the final funnel first. That is not a good angle. Navy Seals are in trouble. And the Blue Brigade don't give them a push. The Navy Seals, that is both championship contenders, out in this first heat. The Grayscales and the Honeycombs are in such a good position right now. They just need to advance. And the battle for the spot in the final. Oh, the Crystal Pistols just cannot hold out. Seems like they're saving their energy for the big one at the end, as they've been just, look at them, they're winning there. The Jade Jockeys just being the masters that they are, managed to push them out. And now with the Crystal Pistols and the Blue Brigade in the final of round 1. This is going to be a pretty long battle, I reckon. Not going to be a whole ton going on. Crystal Pistols taking the lead. And they just pushed the Blue Brigade on through. Instantly. Crystal Pistols might have a full funnel lead here. And they will. They're taking off to a great start here. And a nice wide angle there. They have a whole funnel lead still over the Blue Brigade for that spot in the final. These two, of course, are actually the bottom 2 in the standings right now, at least if I recall correctly. So they could both use for a spot in the final to get like a potential medal to end the games, especially the Crystal Pistols, who are yet to get a single one. The Blue Brigade have gotten 2 across their time, and very inconsistent results all throughout has pushed them down into second to last place. It looks like they're not going to advance here. The Crystal Pistols just consistent spinning all the way across throughout the race, and the Blue Brigade will miss out. Crystal Pistols, easy advancement there, must have been saving energy in the first 3 rounds to come out with a dominant win like this to move on to the final. Just taking their time, just showboating at this point, trying to maybe stamp some a message into the Blue Brigade that they will be finishing in 15th and will stay out of the basement. Straight on to heat number 2, there you see the Grayscales and the Honeycombs in positions 1 and 3, with many others, including last event's winner, the Cosmonauts, in this one. And immediately, they fell on fill along with a couple other contestants. Now that we're back to 8, there's a lot more impacts in this one, a lot shorter times, I reckon, than in the final rounds of heat 1. At top, of course, are the Grayscales and the Honeycombs taking the top 2 spots. They're trying to get those spots in the final desperately. As the Condiment Kings, Party Crashers, Cosmonauts, Honeycombs, I can see have taken the lead. They're not on the camera right now, so they're up the top, and they've pushed their way on through, and have now fought. I think the Green Peacocks might be winning. A team that has, well, not done much in this tournament. They've gotten 1 medal in the downhill drag, and now looking to try and get 1 more. Perhaps Party Crashers into the final funnel. The Honeycombs are there as well. Silly Slimes drop on through. Cosmonauts, oh, and a big battle! And the Cosmonauts just came through that final funnel instantly. Honeycombs and Grayscales. Let's see if either of them can advance. Oh, Honeycombs push them both through, trying to hold out as long as they can against the Grayscales, and they won't. Green Peacocks, though, good wide angle up there. They should be able to hold out against the Grayscales and keep them in the rounds. And the Green Peacocks, yes, they will. An easy win to advance to the final in this one. Of course, the Grayscales have come. That was very close to them advancing. If they do that, they will pass the Marauders just flat out. Doesn't matter what the other teams do. Just look at this at the end. Look at the Team Sunrise and the Cosmonauts just came down and pushed each other through, basically. Team Sunrise were lucky to go down after the Cosmonauts, though. And now we're on with the second round of this group. Grayscales and Honeycombs. The Marauders are sitting, watching in fear right now as the Grayscales and Honeycombs battle, seeing if they'll fall on through and miss out, keeping the Marauders the championship lead. Well, the Honeycombs are doing that right now. They're having a real bad time. They're already down to final number 6 of 8. While Team Sunrise and Condiment Kings battle to stay up top, Grayscales are winning. That is not ideal for the Marauders in the slightest. The Honeycombs drop on through. They don't have a great angle there. Will Team Sunrise give them a bump? No! They'll just fall on through! And the Honeycombs will completely choke to nothing in this run. They have, effectively, they're out of championship contention now, unless if they miraculously got enough points to pass the Marauders just by getting 1 extra round on them. Which I completely doubt. The Grayscales, oh, they have a full final ahead, but the Condiment Kings are trying to hold out. Will they give them a bump? No! And just like that, oh, wait a minute, the Grayscales have won the Tour de Endurance. Honeycombs are out, Navy Seals are out, and the Marauders are out. With the Grayscales moving on to the final, they will get 8 more points than the Marauders automatically. And just like that, with that win, I haven't been paying attention. The Grayscales have won Tour de Endurance, as flat as that. Well, the crowd is going crazy for the Grayscales at the moment. I doubt the Marauders fans are all too happy. But the Condiment, as the battle goes along between them, Honeycombs bummed to have missed out. They could have still fought the Grayscales had they advanced, but they just had 2 terrible funnels at the end. The Marauders, though, just even with this, they've been well enough throughout the tournament where they will still get a podium position. But at this point, the battle is just for 3rd. The team that could still get 3rd, if I recall correctly, is the Party Crashers, who are currently in 2nd place over the Silly Slimes. Oh, who they come on through. In fact, Party Crashers will take the lead. In fact, Silly Slimes are falling apart. They were winning, and now they're going to be... Oh, they're very close. They are in last. First to fall on through into the final funnel. Condiment Kings will join them, though, but they're a bit far away from the Silly Slimes to give them a bump, and the Silly Slimes will finish last and be eliminated in this one. Party Crashers and Team Sunrise for the fight to advance, and Party Crashers miss out. Team Sunrise just... good spitting, they just held out, kept themselves ahead of the Party Crashers pretty well there. But Party Crashers were looking pretty strong to advance regardless. There you see, Silly Slimes were doing very good in the first half of the race, but you need to be good all the way throughout. You can't just hold out for the very end. You could do that, but it's a very difficult strategy to work with. Now, Party Crashers and the Condiment Kings for the last spot in the final before we get into that battle for third place. Party Crashers have taken the lead for now. This is significantly different to the Crystal Pistols versus Blue Brigade battle, as this time they're shuffling around a lot. Party Crashers will not fall on through first. They'll send through the Condiment Kings. They're just barely holding out, these two. Thick and thin, these two want to make it to the final desperately, but the Party Crashers do push the Condiment Kings through that time. The little back and forth they had going is immediately stopped, and it still has not started again. The Party Crashers holding the lead through 2 funnels now. It could even be 3. Condiment Kings, yeah, they're in trouble. Party Crashers lead though. It's not as big as the Crystal Pistols one. It's not over yet. The Condiment Kings, and they're both pretty good. Oh, a bump! The Condiment Kings just barely don't fall through, and they take the lead, just barely. It's into the final funnel. The Party Crashers need to get bumped or just hold them out. Let's have a look. A nudge from beside, and the Condiment Kings do miss out. I really thought they had it wrapped up there. They fought right back. They just held out above that top funnel, but they just got pushed on through. Condiment Kings will settle for a 9th in the last event. Party Crashers could settle for a top spot. And there you see the Grayscales already won the tournament. Honeycombs and Serpent Speeders are the 2 teams that are going for that overall podium. Honeycombs, of course, are out, so Serpent Speeders would have to do poorly. From what I saw there, the Serpent Speeders would have to win the event to take 3rd at this point. And the Grayscales in the final are just trying to put a stamp of authority on this tournament to end it out. And they're currently doing that just fine. Now, in the final, there is no reward for winning, and it's just a straight blast. If you finish last, you are gone. From 8th through to 1st, it is just like that. The final will be 3 races, though. It's not going to be a 1v1 to finish it, unlike the last 2 rounds. Currently, it seems the J Jockeys, that's unnatural, are in trouble, but they get pushed through by many other contestants. Party Crashers, oh, they're in deep trouble. They are in real trouble, in fact. They're the only one in that funnel. They're very close to the opening, and yep, that is it. Party Crashers just had 2 terrible funnels, pushed on through many times, and they are the first ones gone in 8th place for them. Serpent Speeders moving on. The Stingers, many others are just trying to push their way on through. This is all for just dragging rights at this point. Of course, the Grayscales, they take the lead. Oh, will they win the race though? It looks like they will. Oh, no, they do. Yes, just barely over Team Sunrise. Oh, this is looking to be a statement for the Grayscales to close it out. They've already won it. They could just chill bang and take a little a break in this final and just really do it for fun. But they're still being competitive. They want to win it. They want to win by a dominant amount rather than just a measly couple of points. And then in this one, it looks like the Crystal Pistols are falling down quickly. Oh, the Stingers, I think that is, don't have a great funnel. Stingers and J Jockeys look very similar, so pardon my commentary. Oh, the Green Peacocks. Uh-oh. No, wait, no, the Stingers are pushing them out of the way. The Crystal Pistols, Team Sunrise, Grayscales, they're all joining them down there. Serpent Speeders and J Jockeys are top 2. But of course, Serpent Speeders don't have a great angle up there, so they might lose that very quickly. Crystal Pistols, Team Sunrise are the 2 fighting for that spot, but the Green Peacocks join them as well. They fall on through first. Crystal Pistols will join them. Team Sunrise and the Stingers are up there. No, wait, is that the... Yes, it is. The J Jockeys come on through. The J Jockeys come out of nowhere. Must have had 2 terrible funnels, and they will miss out on the next round. They will finish in 7th in this one. Much closer packed Team Sunrise, who was in trouble. Looks like they're going to win the heat. Oh no, Serpent Speeders are right there. Team Sunrise doing pretty good in these first 2 rounds. They might be a contender to win this final based on those first 2 rounds, and the Serpent Speeders win this group. So let's have a look at this replay again. So you see 3 of them are in there. J Jockeys fall on through. They're just pushed, tag teamed by the Stingers and the Crystal Pistols and just sent on through. Alright, Green Peacocks, Crystal Pistols, all the way back to the Serpent Speeders. Team Sunrise fall on through first, followed by the Serpent Speeders. Let's see the Grayscales. They've taken the lead again. They have been winning a lot of these funnels in these rounds. Now the Serpent Speeders take it down below. The Green Peacocks and Team Sunrise are the 2 in trouble. Team Sunrise going through first. The Stingers down next. Crystal Pistols and Green Peacocks trying to stay up desperately and not get bumped. Stingers fall on through. Grayscales are a whole 3 finals ahead of last, but they get pushed on through by the Green Peacocks. But then, oh, the Grayscales, they recover quickly. They could have been sent tumbling through many funnels there had Serpent Speeders beat them off, but nope. Uh-oh, Stingers. Oh, they don't have a great angle there, but Team Sunrise joins them, gives them a push, and Team Sunrise, despite all that energy, they will not advance. They could have had it there. They just were being pushed back by the Stingers, and that did not help the Green Peacocks and the Grayscales. are the final two. These two have been rather consistent throughout these rounds, and it's going to be close. But Team Sunrise, I believe they got second and then first in the first two rounds, only to come in 6th overall. Unfortunate for them. As we head into the final 5, this is where things start to get real dicey, where the competition gets real rough. If you were saving energy up until this point, you're in a good position, because now it's going to get real difficult. Here they go. All the Grayscales. But not at a great angle. They're sent through first immediately. Serpent Speeders follow, and then everyone else starts to follow suit. Stingers take the lead. But they're in a bit of trouble there. They get pushed on through immediately by those two, and then they get... Oh no, they're holding out for now. They get pushed on through again. Against the Crystal Pistols now. They fall on through again. They fall on through 2 times, and they've tumbled out of the track. They've just fallen right out. They had too much speed. Look at this again. Just gone. They try to put on the brakes oh so desperately, but that's just going to count as an automatic loss for the Stingers. A free advancement for these 4, I guess. That's a bit unfortunate for the Stingers. They were doing pretty well. They were just holding out. They were saving energy. They probably could have won this event had they just put all the energy into the final few races. But nope, they'll have to settle for a 5th place in the final. Not a great way to end the season, but at least it's not in the heats. Now this is this is the second to last round. The loser of this will not be competing for a medal. Serpent Speeders up top there. If they win this event, they will steal 3rd and auto qualification for season 2. That is probably their biggest priority at this point. Crystal Pistols are fighting for just to be noticed in this season, and the Green Peacocks, same could be said about them. Grayscales are here to just lay a stamp of authority, as they've already won the tournament. Green Peacocks come on through. They're in trouble here. They might be the one. Grayscales join them. Will they get pushed on through? Oh, it's going to be close. The Green Peacocks trying to hold out, but they don't. And the Grayscales, Serpent Speeders, and the Crystal Pistols will be the 3 to advance to the final for the medals. And of course, the Grayscales win. They've won many times, if my memory is correct. The Green Peacocks will take a 4th in the final event. Look at that, just so close to pushing through the Grayscales, but just cannot do it now. The final, the grand finale of not only this event, but of Tour Endurance in general. Here they go. Oh, it's a tight one to begin, but the Grayscales and Crystal Pistols, Serpent Speeders taking the lead. That's where they want to be, but they're falling on through. Oh, they get pushed on through by both of them here. It's a 2 marble race. For those two, Grayscales are taking a lead, and a bit of a commanding one it is, but the Serpent Speeders will hold out. Will they push them through? Yes, they will, Grayscales. Now just trying to catch up with the Serpent Speeders and not fall down to the Crystal Pistols, who are right there. They're not out of this race. It's still anyone's race at the halfway mark. They're all 3 of them are in there very briefly, but the Serpent Speeders are pushed on through. Grayscales taking the lead. Crystal Pistols. All Grayscales are really pushed on through now. They might not even get 2nd or 3rd. They might have to hold up to 3rd here. Serpent Speeders, the ones that want to win, are pushed on through. They are pushed on through in the worst case scenario. The Grayscales join them though, and they definitely will bump them. There's not enough time. Grayscales. Oh wait, just barely though. The Serpent Speeders almost came on through there for the 3rd place. Will Serpent Speeders do it? It's going to be a close one, but yes, they do. The Crystal Pistols just fall on through, and they'll capture a silver in the finale. Still fantastic for them. But the Serpent Speeders will sneak past the Honeycombs and the Navy Seals in the finale to capture 3rd place. Fantastic job. The crowd is going nuts for the Serpent Speeders, but we can't look past the Grayscales. 3rd place in the final is enough. Even just advancing was enough in the final, but they will win Tour Endurance Season 1. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Enjoy the closing ceremony.